Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlem Lane, Accra, on digital address GA0993341. On Joy 99.7 FM is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telesol 4G. Just a touch. Coming up, Greater Accra Regional Police Commander describes as untrue assertions by East Legon Police Commander that he was sidelined in Ayawaso, West Wogon by-election security operation.
Mr. Chairman, I communicated to him on mobile phone. I sent him a message, and I have it here.
Very well. Now, let the record capture this.
We'll get to hear from him as he reveals there was no coordination between national security and the regional command on the day as the Emil Short Commissioner prepares to hear from journalists, including Joy News' Evans Mensah. Customers of Men's Gold are back to the streets to demand government intervention in retrieving their locked up funds or in care thereof.
From today, this is the last demonstration, and if we don't hear anything from the government, we are going to do our worst. They should take this as a caution. Yeah. We are not going to sit down for our money to go down the drain. It has been 6 months.
We'll have details as we go live to Takwa to join the demonstrators, and later family of NDC activists shot dead at party regional office in Kumasi alleged they are now receiving more death threats. We are live in Kumasi as well here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. And the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander, DCOP Patrick Eduse Sapong, has described as untrue assertions by the East Legon Police Commander that he was sidelined in last month's Ayawaso by-election security operation. You'll recall East Legon Police Commander DSP George Asare told the Emil Short Commission probing the by-election violence that he was not included in the security operations for the polls. But when he took his turn before the commission today, Greater Accra Police Commander DCOP Patrick Eduse Sapong says the East Legon Police Commander was assigned patrol duties. Listen.
Done. Mr. Chairman, I communicated to him on mobile phone. I sent him a message, and I have it here.
Very well. Now, let the record capture this. That at 9:57 on the 30th day of January 2019, a WhatsApp message was sent to ASP stroke Mr. George. Are there more names there? Sorry. Okay. George Asare, East Legon District. And it reads, "Good evening. Report at RHQ at 0500 hours to join other officers and lead a patrol team. All district commanders are to let their drivers bring their pickups at exactly 0500 to be assigned for patrol." Now, was there a response to
There
this
wasn't.
message?
There wasn't. Mr. Chairman, if I may add, there is another officer, that's the Accra Central District officer. I sent him the same message at the same time, and he responded, which I have it here.
Now, let the record reflect that on the 30th of January 2019, at 15:56, a WhatsApp message was sent to Superintendent Bunsu, Accra Central District. And it reads, "Good evening. Report at RHQ at 5:00 hours to join other officers and lead a patrol team. All district commanders are to let their drivers bring their pickups at exactly 0500.
DCOP Patrick Eduse Sapong also told the commission he didn't know of any other agency deployed for the by-election and was not informed about national security operations.
The police officers
Are on the ground.
not come to your notice that the national security SWAT team, we are going to have an operation nearby the polling station at the Bawalashi polling station.
No, Mr. Chairman, not at all.
You were not informed.
Not at all, Mr. Chairman.
Is that a usual practice?
Mr. Chairman, because they operate on their own without reference to the regional command, we didn't know anything about them. Because if there had been information that they were going, there was a need to do an exercise, we were more prepared to have done it. But this, that they didn't come to the notice of the regional command that they will be in town and for whatever purpose.
You heard that the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander DCOP Patrick Eduse Sapong before the Emil Short Commission a while ago. Let's go on the line now and speak to Joseph Akable. He's our man on the beat and joins us on the line. We understand the Emil Short Commission is preparing to hear from journalists, including Joy News' Evans Mensah. Tell us more, Akable.
So Evans, who is the head of the political desk at Joy News, will be testifying before at the commission. Later today, they are expected to also engage a manager at TV3 also to give his testimony. What information we are picking from the commission is to the effect that a lot of the issues that happen in terms of the events that characterized or marred the entire electoral process were witnessed by journalists. And in fact, the videos that the commission has been furnished with that depict the violence that took place on that day were mostly captured by journalists or put together and broadcast by journalists. So it's for that reason that the commission finds it necessary to engage journalists on that matter. We understand that they have actually written to some of the media organizations to furnish them with those videos, and some of them have been able to provide those videos to them. So the expectation is that that will be the evidence that these journalists will be given to the commission in terms of what they witnessed on that day, how they came up to pick leads about what was happening, and their own understanding of what transpired.
And how soon is that going to happen? We know they've taken a short break.
The break was actually for 10 minutes, and as I speak to you now, just some of the members of the commission in terms of the council and the clerks who exited together with the commissioners have returned to the conference room, so we can expect that to commence any moment from now.
At this point, we go live to the Emil Short Commission because Joy News' head of political desk, Evans Mensah, has taken his turn.
The commission would put some questions to you.
Sorry. Hello. Respectfully, if council would like to make a statement before the witness is...
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. With respect to the commission, the witness is fully prepared to assist the commission to do substantial justice in the matters for which the commission has invited the witness. But my lord, first of all, we would like to point out that subsequent to the invitation dated the 15th of February 2019 to the witness, there was one sent yesterday requiring the witness to produce videos, discussions, among other relevant material that is in their custody as a result of the work they have done in respect of the matter being investigated. The time was limited, and so what has been supplied the commission is not the full complement. So the witness will seek leave after his testimony today to be able to furnish the commission with a full complement. Then we discovered also that the invitation did not appear to be fully compliant with the Commission of Inquiry Practice and Procedure Rules 2010, particularly Rule 8.2, requiring that the invitation should include mandatorily a statement indicating the reasons for which the witness is being invited. That notwithstanding, the witness understands that he's here as a non-target witness and is ready to proceed. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. We have taken note of your opening remarks. Okay.
For the record, will counsel announce himself?
With respect to the commission, I'm Samson Ladi Ayanini. I'm here with Mrs. Rosalind Kalaji, and we represent the witness.
Thank you very much. Mr. Evans, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, for the purposes of the record, please state your full name.
My name is Evans Mensah.
What do you do? So then, I should rather address you as Mr. Mensah.
Yes, sir.
Not Mr. Evans.
My lord, yes.
Very well. What do you do by way of profession?
I am a broadcast journalist.
For how long have you done that?
15 years.
It is right for me then to describe you as a very experienced broadcast journalist. Am I right?
You can say that, my lord.
Very well. What organization do you work for, Mr. Mensah?
A multimedia group, my lord.
Do you play any specific role within the organization?
Yes, my lord. I'm the editor, also the head of the political desk.
Very well. Is it the case that the multimedia group covered the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency by election?
Yes, we did, specifically Joy News, where multimedia group is a pretty huge organization, but my direct responsibility is with Joy News.
Very well. Is it a case that Joy News had men across the constituency?
Yes, my lord.
Will it also be the case that Joy News had men stationed at every constituency?
At every polling station?
Every polling station, I meant.
No, my lord.
Can you give the commission a general overview as to how your men covered the election?
So on the day, before the elections, we had planned, and on the day we deployed a total of 3 reporters to cover the by-election, and they were asked to go around the polling stations. I mean, there were more than 100 polling stations. It's impossible to have a man in each polling station. So in essence, they move around from polling station to polling station, and also had built contacts. If something was happening somewhere, you get a call and then you rush there, so that you can get the live, up-to-date coverage for our listeners. In essence, that's what election coverage comes down to.
Now, there's been reports of certain incidents during the election. Did your men cover any of the incidents?
Yes, my lord. The incident that we are aware of which has become very topical because my domain is in media, is the lab violation incident. And that incident, yes, we had a man on the ground who covered it for us. Yes, my lord.
Did your man file any report with regards to the incident?
Yes, my lord. My man on the ground filed detailed reports. John uses both radio and TV. We're also online with myjoyonline.com. And so the reports were filed on all these 3 platforms, primarily through television, which then is piped onto radio. And obviously, then the printout, the write-up, it's subsequently goes onto my Joy Online. So yes, our reports on the ground did file reports from the Laba-Oleshi incident.
Do you have copies of that report available?
Yes, my lord. It's part of the documentations that we have compiled is video and pictorial evidence of what we covered, which we've put together on a pen drive. One of it came before the commission yesterday. In fact, we submitted it yesterday, but we've brought an additional pen drive. It has more videos of our coverage on it. And as my counsel has indicated, we're willing to bring the rest if we get leave to do so after today.
So then, if I heard you right, you have already submitted a report, you have another one here, and with leave, you will submit another one later.
Yes, my lord.
When did you submit this report?
The first one on a pen drive came yesterday because we're asked to do so by 4 p.m. yesterday, and so we have submitted one yesterday.
And for the record, to whom did you submit?
I would not know that readily, but I know my my HR brought a copy.
Very well. Now, the one in court, before the commission, do you have it readily available here?
Yes, we do. We do have an additional pen drive with additional details on it.
And you don't mind handing over a copy to the commission?
Not at all, my lord.
Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7
Can we keep the
FM.
pen drive?
Yes, my lord, you can.
Most grateful. Now, did your reporters report on any other incident apart from Laba-Oleshi?
So apart from the Laba-Oleshi one, which took a lot of the coverage, and as we all know, it dominated the coverage of the by-elections, although it was in one place in Laba-Oleshi. We also generally covered voter turnout, the conduct of the polls generally. We spoke to the election officers who were manning the various polling stations. We spoke to the police. We spoke to voters who had turned out to vote. We also spoke to political actors, as in those who were monitoring the polls. We also spoke to the leadership of the various political parties on the day. And so there's a wide range of things that we did apart from the Laba-Oleshi, but admittedly, and the way news works, the Laba-Oleshi incident dominated the coverage largely. And once it happened, it just took over and became the most dominant and talked about incident during the by-election.
Joy
yes, my lord.
99.7 FM. Joy 99.7
yes, my lord.
FM.
Now,
Joy
all these
99.7
other incidents covered, are they covered by a report?
If you may explain briefly what you mean by a report, my lord.
Did you put that into any sort of publication?
So, my lord, we have various specific programs that, in essence, carry these reports. So, for radio, we have the 6 a.m. bulletin. I'm talking about these main bulletins. The 6 a.m. bulletin. We have the midday bulletin. We have top story, which is in the evening 5:30 to 6, and we have Newsnight, which is 6 to 7. And then on TV, we have similar programming. And so we have right from the morning, we have the AM show. Well, on radio, we also have the morning show, which also does quite extensive work. It's quite extensive work on the by-election. On radio, we have similar. We have an equivalent of the morning show on Joy News. We have news programs that come right after that throughout the day. So these various programs carry the reports. And so you would notice that Midday News will have reports of the incidents coming from the by-election, and that will filter into the evening news programs. So we'll replicate it on TV as well. So these reports that I talk of were reports that were carried in these specific programs, as we have it both on television and on radio.
Now, for the purposes of these programs you've just mentioned, did your men on the ground carry out investigations? Oh, let me rephrase. Did they carry out interviews?
Yes, my lord.
Are all those materials included in what you have given the commission?
Specifically, my lord, the interviews form part of the body of work that my counsel had requested leave to provide. So we'll provide that subsequently if the commission grants us the leave, my lord.
How soon can that be done?
I would have to consult with because it's a technical work. I would have to get a technical team to locate and put it on a file. We'll probably have to, because it's huge, television and radio stuff is going to take quite a bit of time. But we can give you specific time once we consult with the technical team that will be doing the search and the uploading onto a pen drive for us to submit.
Close of day tomorrow, is it possible?
I think close of day Friday, most likely.
Very well.
Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM.
So, Mr. Mensah, the commission will expect the information by close of day Friday.
Thank you, my lord.
Very well. Mr. Mensah, since you are an experienced broadcast journalist, is it right to assume that you've covered extensive electoral processes in this country?
Yes, my lord. Not only in this country but abroad as well. I was very integral in the coverage of the U.S. elections that brought in Donald Trump, and so yes, I have extensive experience in that area.
Very well. Can the commission tap into your knowledge?
So far as I can help, yes. Why not, my lord?
Let's talk about electoral violence. Electoral violence. You will agree with me that for some time now, our by-elections in particular are characterized by violence. Do you?
Yes, my lord, a few of them. Talensi, we have Tripoli, we have Atiwa, we've had Ayawaso, West Wagon. All of them had varying degrees of violence. Yes, my lord.
Mr. Mensah, from your experience, what do you think are some of the causes of this violence?
Well, just basically from a journalistic point of view and talking to people, the sense you get talking to people is, see, what we now know has been tagged as political vigilantism and the deep-seated mistrust that political actors have for state institutions, particularly the police. So parties normally find themselves in a position, tend to mistrust the police. And the police, as we've become to know, and what my coverage of elections has taught us, has jurisdiction in terms of, providing security for elections. However, we have a situation that, based on the coverage over the years, you've seen
mainly parties in opposition, not trusting the police. And so you get to a point where the parties themselves then begin to provide their own form of security, which obviously then conflicts with state security and has led to that sort of intense rivalry that in some cases has degenerated into outright violence. People were either maimed, in some cases killed. Fundamentally, that mistrust for state institutions such as the police is what tends to have created this scenario where by-elections have become particularly full of incidents of the violent nature.
But you will agree with me that the situation is not the same with general elections?
Not quite. General elections have also recorded its own measure of violence in varying degrees, depending on the nature of a flashpoint. So time was when institutions like the West African Network for Peace Building, going into an election, will release a list of flashpoints and put institutions on notice about these flashpoints and their potential to degenerate into violence. In fact, the Electoral Commission also has a system where they also identify their flashpoints, and sometimes in talking to the police, they share with the police what the flashpoints are. As journalists, we also are interested in the flashpoints because in deploying reporters, we also, sorry, I need to slow down again. Forgive me. In deploying reporters, we also look at these flashpoints and use that as a basis for our own deployment, because we also want to be in the thick of the action. So we send people to these places so that if indeed the flashpoint means it has a potential for violence, if indeed that happens, then you can report. You can bring our listeners up to speed on what happens. So in national elections, also there has been violence also in national elections, as you've seen.
Mr. Mensah, going forward, what do you suggest will be some of the solutions to this issue of electoral violence and vigilantism?
It's an interesting question. I'm not an expert, my lord, but I would, just based on talking to the political actors, talking to civil society, talking to ordinary voters, and referencing what ordinary everyday Ghanaians have told us through our everyday work, because that's what we do. We give the microphones to the ordinary people, the everyday Ghanaian who normally want to have a voice to speak, and they've had a lot to say about vigilantism, party political violence. Just this past week, we did a show like that where we had a citizens conversation about this. And part of the question was asked ordinary people, businessmen, communications people, generally about what they think the state can do to fix a problem. What I'm going to say fundamentally are thoughts from that constituency of people. So everyday Ghanaians speaking generally about what they feel about the vigilantism and political violence. One of the key things these audience of ours